It's day 2 of the 24-day challenge to sew 6 costumes. Now, in addition to 6 costumes, I need to remake a work suit into a rocket costume. I need to come up with a jacket for the intergalactic mediator and make a headpiece for her. And then I need to come up with some sort of a costume for HAL 9000, the evil robot from 2001: A Space Odyssey. So I'm planning to do all of this in the next 22 days because we're day 2. And so far, I have my alien patterns all cut out. There were 2 different patterns because they're different size ranges. And I have my bot costumes cut out as well. I'm happy to report that those are going to be pretty easy to sew because they are only 4 pieces. That is the beauty of the simplicity pattern, is that they usually are pretty easy to sew, and that will definitely come in handy when I have to cut everything out and get it sewn up. The other bonus is that with the bot pattern, it's extra large all the way down to extra small. And so basically I can cut out the extra large for one woman and then move down to the large and just trim off those seam allowances and, use the pattern and size it down as I go through the process. So super excited about that. The other thing I'm excited about is how fast my fabric arrived. Now, fabrics I'm using, they looked really pretty online. I have not opened them yet. I have the box right here. We're going to do that together. These are from Fabric Wholesale Direct. Now, I have not ever purchased anything from this company, but I found them online when I was looking for metallic fabrics to make the bot costumes with, because I needed a certain look. They need to kind of look robotic, and they're the AI in the Night Court production that I'm working on. And they had the best prices and they had the best selection of colors. So that's what I went with. One of my viewers actually suggested that I check them out in another video in one of the comments. And so he said that they were really great. And so fingers crossed that everything in this box looks good. So there's actually a whole lot of fabric in here. There are 4 yards of each of the bot costumes. So that's 16 yards of fabric. And then the aliens, I think I got 3 yards each or 4 yards each. I can't remember. This is a heavy box. Okay. When it was sitting on my doorstep, I was like, oh, wow, this is heavy. I'm hoping it's all in here, because if it's not, I'm going to be very sad. So let's take a look together. Oh, it is very neatly packed. Okay, so I think this is going to look pretty good. Let's get this out. There's a lot of tape. Oh. This is really heavy. Okay, so let's see what I got. Let's see how it looks. I'm optimistic. So this is some metallic foil. It's kind of a lame. This is going to be used for the accents of the alien costumes and the belt. And it's a nice weight. It is a tissue weight lame, so it's kind of sheer, but that's not going to be a problem. I will use interfacing to make belts, and that will all be good. Oh, this is good. Okay. This is the alien green fabric, which is exactly alien green. I was a little concerned that this might not be quite the right color, but it is. So awesome to know that. I have a lot of this. They would cut it in like separate yards, but then they were going to charge me $4. So it's like all in one single yardage here for the fabric for both costumes. But it's really nice. It's a 4-way stretch spandex poly blend, and it's a nice weight, kind of a medium weight. All right, so these are the bot fabrics, which are the metallics, and people did have some reviews of these where they said that they were really a nice weight and a good quality. So this is what it looks like. And I think this is going to work really well for robot costume. I did not want something that was knit because the pattern just calls for quilting cotton. So I needed something that wasn't going to stretch. I think this is going to really fit the bill. It's the metallic on front, and then on the back is a slightly stretched satin, but not very much once it's attached to this part here. So it stretches a little bit in the selvage widthwise, but the bulk of the fabric does not really stretch. So this is for one of the bots. I decided to do them kind of in different colors. So Siri is going to be this pink color, and Alexa is going to be this navy blue, which has a black background. This is the one they actually had the picture of. Oh, that's really pretty. That's a lot brighter than it looked online. So that is going to be Alexa, because that's kind of an Amazon blue. And then we have Wiki from Wikipedia. And Wikipedia didn't really have a color, so I went with purple because I thought that would be nice. And we have some different bots, kind of all in the same color jewel tone family. This is a little bit lighter than I thought it would be, but that is fine. It's still going to look really good and metallic. Clementine is coming to check out the fabric. And then last but not least is probably the system you've never heard of, Cortana, which apparently was Microsoft's attempt at an assistant like Alexa or Siri, and it's going to be this bright kind of turquoise blue. So those are my fabrics, and I'm really happy with the way they look because I was not 100% sure, and I had my fingers crossed that all of this was going to work because they were a really good price. They were like $6.47 a yard or $6.74 a yard, and I needed like 4 yards of each to make sure that I had the full length and then the full width. It is 60 inches wide, so that's also really helpful. And okay, I'm getting ready to, I'm going to iron my patterns, and then I'm going to start laying out my fabric and getting everything cut out. And we'll move on to that next step, which is kind of the boring pattern cutting, marking stuff. And thankfully, the satin side looks like it will be easy to mark. So it is day 13 of the 24-day Sew All the Costumes challenge. That means I have about 11 days left to get this pile of fabric turned into some usable costumes. As of right now, I am behind schedule, which is no surprise since that's a pile of fabric. It is all cut out though. I did manage to get that done in the last week or so. And I started sewing one of them, but I was just trying to test it out. There's some stuff that's come up related to the costumes that have been some interesting challenges, but I'll get into that a little bit later. It is what time is it? Oh, 6:45, and I've been up since 5:40. I've done part of my morning routine. I wrote my morning pages. I did my daily devotional. I'm working on my second cup of coffee. And I'm about to get ready to get dressed, take Honey for her walk, and then I'm going to be back in the sewing room to start working on all of this and some additional stuff that needs to get done today. I haven't finished my second cup of coffee yet, so I'm working on that. Today, I really need to sew all of these bot costumes up. So there's 4 of them. I kind of started working on the blue one. Parts of it are basted because I need to add pockets. So that was one of the challenges that came up last weekend when I went to check the costumes for all the people wearing regular clothes. I was talking to, I can't remember who I was talking to, but they said that they needed pockets because apparently during some number they have these little gloves and they have to be able to put them in the gloves in their pockets once the number's over, but they don't leave stage to go get rid of them. So they need some pockets to put those in temporarily. And costumes don't come with pockets. So thankfully, you know, pockets, inseam pockets are not hard to make. So I found a pattern for one that I had for some dress I made back in 2020, I think. and just pulled it out, made a couple of pockets. I have them cut out. Well, for this color fabric anyway. I need to still cut them for the first two costumes that I cut out. So that was one thing. I need to go add these. I think I'm just going to put them in at the side seam where the notch is to match the front to the back, because I think that would kind of be just the easiest thing to do. I'm not sure if that's exactly where they need to be, but since, you know, these pockets don't have to be used as pockets, they're just holding these gloves temporarily. I'm not going to stress about it too much because it's a costume, and that is the beauty of costumes. They do not have to be perfect. They just have to look good from the audience. So that's one thing that I am working on today. The other thing that happened was one of the women in the play had to drop out, and so that role had to be recast. So the good thing about not sewing all of these bot costumes in the last week is that I didn't have to rip anything out to change it. So, you know, adding the pockets, if I'd already sewn all the side seams together and done all that, I would have had to rip that all out to add pockets. So not sewing kind of helped me out there. And then the casting change also helped me out. I had cut out the fabric, but I had not done anything else with it, and I had not cut out any of the smaller sizes. So I'd originally cut it out in a large for the woman who was playing it, and then the woman who ended up taking the role is a medium, so I could just, you know, size it down a little bit. And then the other two women who were being bots are a size small and extra small. So, you know, everything ended up working out despite my delays and lack of enthusiasm to get back and sew. Like I said, last week at work was just, it wasn't stressful. I had a couple of difficult clients, but it wasn't like horrible. It was just a lot of on my feet running around the courthouse. So, you know, I came home and was tired and, you know, just didn't feel like it. So when I initially thought about doing this, or started this video, let's put it that way. When I started recording for this video, I had 24 days. Now, August 9th is a self-imposed deadline. I wanted to have everything done, or at least everything that needed to be sewn. But the actual show does not start until the 16th of August. So I do have some leeway there. I will have one more weekend to work on everything if, you know, adjustments need to be made or things like that. But I really want all the sewing done by that point so that it's just kind of minimal type things that need to be fixed. So that's the goal. I have 11 days left to that deadline. It is a Wednesday. That's the full dress rehearsal for the cast. Yeah, so that's what I'm looking at. And you know, I had to delegate. I delegated the alien costumes. I did get them all cut out. I met a young woman at the Joanne's grand opening last year, and we've kept in touch, and she's since moved back to Houston, and she is a lawyer, so she's interested in being involved in the Night Court production. So I figured, hey, she sews, she can help me. She did actually offer to help, so thank you, Megan. I appreciate that. She thankfully is available, and she took over that part of the project, so that's good. Let's see, what else do I have to do? I remember I have to make a Groot costume. Now, originally, I thought I could rework these tree costumes that I made in the past. It's not going to work. I did find some more tree fabric on Amazon. It is not the same. It's more like tree branches. So I ordered the new fabric. I still need to cut that out. I do have the pattern cut out. It is, I mean, basically doing some overalls, and then she's going to wear a brown long sleeve knit top underneath, and then we'll figure out some kind of headpiece or something. And so I need to cut the pockets for that pattern because I was like, yeah, they don't need pockets. Yes, they do. So I have to go back and cut the pockets out of the pattern pieces and then cut out all of that fabric, which is what I would like to do today. And I'm thinking I might do that first, but I might finish sewing this bot costume first since it's already on the machine, and just finish. I opted to go with the sewing this costume first plan instead of cutting. I think that I'll feel a little bit more accomplished if I get this done and then move on to the next thing and go back and cut the pockets for the other costumes. I'm just going to get one completely finished and then go to the next step. So I think that'll just make more sense. And this metallic fabric is really fun to sew because it kind of gums up my needle, even though I'm using the proper needle. But I digress. This is going to be the yoke on the costume, and I need to make a casing up here. So I'm going to fold this over on this line that thankfully I did put on the costume. That was very helpful. I thought that's what it might be. So it is about, let me measure it, and then I'm just going to fold the fabric over because that's easier. It's about an inch, it looks like. Yeah, it's an inch. So I'm just going to fold this over an inch, pin it, and then get back to sewing this together. I think that'll be a little bit faster. And Clementine's under here attacking me for some reason. She just decided that was a good idea. Stop it. So it's afternoon and I've been working on this. I did get the dark blue one finished and it went okay. It's not 100% finished. I have to put in a casing seam, but other than that, it's mostly finished. And I have run into some problems because now all of a sudden the needle keeps gumming up. It's been gumming up because of this fabric and whatever they use to stick this foil stuff to the satin, but now it really doesn't want to sew. And I changed the needle for a little bit bigger needle and it's working okay, but it's not happy. So apparently Microtex needles are not great for sewing this kind of fabric. I checked to see what metallic needles would be best, or what needles would be best for sewing metallic fabric, and that's what it said. And then I looked on the Schmetz website to just see what all the needle options were, and they have one that is non-stick. So I think that's what I'm gonna have to use. I ordered them from Amazon. Thankfully they will get here tomorrow, but I think I'm gonna put this on hold for right now. I did sew all the sleeves together for all the pieces, but putting in the pockets and the sleeves and all of that, like it's like the thread is constantly getting this fuzzy gummy ball on it, and then I have to stop and rethread, and then it's skipping stitches. So I think it's better to just call it on the bot costumes. And I'd wanted to get them all done today. That's not going to happen. So I just need to accept it. Once my non-stick needles get here tomorrow, I can get back to my bot costumes and hopefully get those knocked out pretty quickly. It's 5:20 in the morning. I'm not sure what day it is now, how many days I have left, or how many days since I started this. This fabric is a total nightmare. I've been fighting with it. So far, I have found that using a Teflon zipper foot and a Teflon needle with, I just got new thread yesterday. It's sulky rayon thread has made it easier to sew, but I do not know what is on this. It is seriously gumming up my needle. Now, granted, the Teflon needle, not as bad as a regular needle, but I still have to clean it every so often. So this has been a total pain to sew this fabric. I'm almost done with these costumes. I'm putting in this one final seam to insert the boning in around the shoulder seam. I'm not sure where it is. I'm waiting on the cording to come in so I can put it through the top of the neck, and then we'll see how everything looks. So there's been a slight wrinkle in the plans. My aunt, my great aunt, who is 96, is in the hospital in Louisiana, and I am going to be leaving tomorrow with my sister to take our grandmother to go see her, because this is grandma's baby sister, and grandma is not ready for her to go. She's not doing great. Things keep coming up, and they're not really sure what's going on. So I'm going to be taking a little road trip to Louisiana and doing some costuming over there. I still have a few more things I need to do, and I'm going to be gone for 5 days. So I need to get some sewing done. I'm trying to get these done. I got up early this morning so I could do some sewing before I head off to court. And I've done two of these. Two of them are pretty much finished, minus the cording and the boning. And I've got two more to do, so I'll work on that right now. This is what this fabric has been doing. It skips stitches for absolutely no reason, and I don't know what it's doing now. So it's really horrible, just horrible fabric. It's just the worst. So I think I got part of my seam sewn all the way around. I had to figure out where this started skipping. The only thing that's good about this fabric is that it's very easy to tear out for some reason. So if you get it started with the seam ripper, oh, this is such a pain. It and get it going and then tear it out pretty quickly. It didn't even catch at all. Like it wasn't even trying to catch. Okay, back to getting this sewn. Still not catching. Okay. I'm just going to put this one aside. I've done half of it. I don't know what's happening. I am at this point sewing over the part that I had previously sewn, so maybe it doesn't like that. I don't know if I need to change the size of the needle. I think that's going to help. This is a small needle. I think I'm just going to go on to the other one, which I have not sewn yet, and hopefully that one will cooperate a little bit better. Nope, this is not working either. All right, I'm going to have to clean this needle. I'm going to clean the needle, see if that helps. I've got rubbing alcohol. This is such an awful fabric. And the thing is, like in the reviews, nobody mentioned how horrible this was to sew. I'm so going to blow that up because this has just really slowed down my time having to fight with this fabric. And this should have been done already because these are just very basic costumes. And, you know, it's like, it's just some straight seams. It shouldn't be this complicated. But when the fabric is skipping stitches and the needle's gumming up every, 3 minutes, it's just really, really frustrating and difficult, and so much more difficult than it needs to be. And I'm already stressed out about my aunt, and it's just, ugh, I'm just so over this fabric. So next time I'll order a sample, or hopefully next time I'll start this process sooner. Actually, honestly, I don't know if I do this again because it's just turning out to be way too much, and it's just it's just me. Although I have to say, Megan has stepped up and she's helping with another costume, so that's super helpful. And honestly, I would have probably had a nervous breakdown by now if I hadn't met her at Joann's last year and she wasn't helping me with all of this, because honestly, it's just a lot of work, especially when things aren't working out, and taking a lot longer than what I anticipated. So let's see if this works. Everything is sewing properly. Nope, I'm not catching. 4 stitches caught. I don't know why this isn't working. I just finished sewing this pink one. I started it out by hand, and then after I got in about 6 hand rolled stitches, I got the machine going, so that was good. This is what the needle looks like. See if I can zoom in on that a little bit. there is pink gummy metallic stuff stuck to it, and this is a Teflon needle. So this is particularly awful fabric. I just wanted to share y'all with me. So that's what I'm cleaning off probably about every time I finish a costume or half a costume. This one I did have to clean it before I started, and then, yeah. So that's what this fabric is doing, which is just horrible. It's the week before the deadline. It is August 2nd today, which means I need to get all the costumes finished by next Wednesday. And I am heading off to Louisiana in a little while. I still need to pack up my sewing machine and a few things to take with me. Just as an update, I had to email the director and let him know that I would not be able to do the Hal costume, which is, the box over my friend Kevin's head. And then I did email him and let him know as well, just due to the family emergency and having to be in Louisiana for 5 days. I was just not going to be able to get that done. And thankfully, they were both very understanding. We're not really sure what we're going into in Louisiana. It's hard to get information from the family, and depending on who you talk to, it's critical or it's just serious. So, some people are saying that she's not going to make it through the weekend, and other people are saying that, she's stable, but it is, serious. So needless to say, Grandma is a total wreck. And, my sister and I are going to take her, and hopefully she will be able to have some quality time with her sister. And in the meantime, I am going to take the Groot costume and get that all sewn up. I did not get a chance to get it all cut out. But as of right now, the bot costumes are pretty much done. I just need to get the cording to go around the neck. I did order that on Amazon. It should be here by the time I get back. And I had thought that if the fabric for the mediator arrived in time, I would take that with me, get that cut out, and work on that as well. But the fabric's not here yet, and it's supposed to be delivered today, which is not going to help me because I won't be here. So I'm kind of frustrated about that, but it is an easy pattern, and so I'm very optimistic that I'll be able to do that on, I come back on Sunday, and then I've got Monday. Hopefully I can leave port early and have, Monday afternoon, and then hopefully I don't have to go back on Tuesday, and I can have Tuesday afternoon to get everything finished, and that way it'll be ready for Wednesday. So, hoping that all works out, and hoping to get this whole Groot costume completely finished while I'm in Louisiana. And yeah, that's where we are. It's very stressful here right now, and we're really all hoping for the best, or at least it's not as bad as some people are saying. I've set up my sewing station at the Holiday Inn Express here in town, which is actually very conducive to sewing. I'm a little surprised by that. I've got my machine on the desk. The desk lamp is the perfect sewing light. And then the ironing board and the iron are set up in the entry, and there's plenty of space for that. And they actually have a really good iron here with multiple fiber settings. And it's very clean, so it's not like somebody used it on something they shouldn't have. So I'm just getting my sewing done. I'm making really good progress, and I'm pretty sure I can get this finished today. So I'm very excited about that, and I am going to get back to sewing. So I'm on the last costume, and it is the last day to get the sewing done because tonight is the dress rehearsal. So I am happy to report that this metallic stretch fabric is much easier to sew than the other metallic fabric that I previously used for the bot costumes. And I have just finished putting in the placket on this dress. This is the Galactic Mediator costume, so I'm doing it in half gold, half silver. She'll be very shiny. And I'm moving on to the next step. So the placket is in. That was kind of the more difficult thing. I do still have to put a collar on, but I think I'm going to be able to manage that with minimal effort, especially since all the sewing is going as smooth as I would hope. And I'm getting ready to sew the back on and get this all going. So, I'm optimistic that I will get this done today. Yesterday, I dropped off some of the bot costumes. They were doing a TV spot on Wednesday morning before the dress rehearsal and my deadline, and two of them were going to be performing, and they needed their costumes. So I didn't stay for that part of it because I needed to get home. I needed to finish the mediator costume. At that point, I think it was cut out, but I was just barely starting to sew it. And, that was a priority to get that finished for Wednesday. And then today, I was finishing up the mediator costume and got a text message from the director that said, the bots don't like their costumes. They don't think they can dance in them. And then he wrote thoughts with like a little question mark. And so I was a little surprised by that, but I was like, okay, I responded by text and asked, did they try dancing in them? Like, because if you don't think you can dance but you haven't tried, maybe it's different. So I asked if they tried, and then I asked if, for more specificity, like, what's the problem? Like, what's the issue? And explained that the fabric was very, very difficult to sew and that I couldn't completely remake the costumes because, at this point, the show's next Wednesday. So we don't have any time left. And I still had to, finish any alterations and I still have to make the mediator's headpiece. So, and then there was like a break in time. It was like, I don't know, 30 minutes, 40 minutes. And then he texted back and said, they don't work. We're not using them. And sent me a link for a metallic vest on Amazon that they were willing to purchase instead. And they wanted my input on that. So I was shocked because I am shocked. I mean, I've never had this happen before. And I'm not saying that my costumes were perfect because I did have a lot of problems with them, as you know, because you watched me sew them. But it's just, my work was just dismissed. And it was like, well, too bad. And there wasn't any discussion. There wasn't any, hey, let's see if we can make this work, which is what I would have preferred. And it's just very disappointing because, when all's said and done, I think I probably spent about 4 hours on each of those costumes because the fabric was such a nightmare. And it's just disappointing that, he didn't have my back as far as, the whims of the people playing the roles. And it was just tossed out. All my work was tossed out. And I'm just kind of still in shock about that. So they're not going to be in the show. And so, 4 of the costumes that were part of the original 6 in this video are not going to be in the show. So I finished the mediator costume yesterday and was able to fit it on the actor playing the role, and it fit. So it was actually a very good fit through the top half, and it was a little bit tight through the hips. And not that it looked horrible or anything, it fit, but the woman playing the role was not comfortable. She said it was a little bit too tight for her to appear on stage. And so I am going to make some alterations to fix that and add a little bit more fullness to this outfit. So as you can see, I made it in 2 colors, and there's a slit up the back. It's just basically a straight kind of dress with an inset sleeve. And this is the Mimi G pattern. It's 9741. And you can see it's just like a basic kind of dress. It's pretty simple. It was easy to make up, and I did sew it all yesterday. And but it's kind of straight. So her role is the intergalactic mediator. She comes in and saves the day at the end of a production. And since it's just kind of a straight dress, I thought that the best solution to adding a little bit more fullness through the waist and hips would be to add a godet. Now, I wasn't 100% sure that's what it was called. I was like, it's either a gusset or a godet, and I'm not sure which one it is. So I pulled out my trusty Vogue sewing book and did find that it is indeed a godet, and that I can insert it the way that I thought. So basically, if you're not familiar with this term or this process, a godet is basically like a pie-shaped piece that you add in to add fullness. And I'm going to add it into a seam line, which is a little bit easier to do. You can just make a slit in something and add it in that way. It's a little bit more organized to do it in a seam line. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start it about, let's do it on the silver side so you can see where I pinned. So I pinned it here. This is where it starts getting a little bit tight. This is right above the tight area, which is through the hips, which is a little bit lower. So I'm going to insert a pie-shaped piece in there and then taper it out. And that will give me the ease that I need in the pattern to make it a little bit more comfortable to sew. And it will also add some fullness and interest to the bottom half of this dress and make it a little bit more costumey, I guess. This is a great pattern. I actually have thought about making this for myself because it's such a quick and easy sew. But that's going to be the solution today. So I'm going to start by ripping out these side seams. When I thought about this process of adding the godet, I kind of thought maybe I could just draw it up on the fabric, cut it out and sew it up, and that's probably not the best idea. I want to make sure that it's going to go in evenly on both sides, have the right drape and everything else. So I think that the best thing to do is to just pattern it out and just make my pattern piece and then cut it out on each colored fabric and then insert it. And I think that's going to be the safer thing to do. So from the point on the sleeve where I need to start the insertion to the floor is 41 inches, which is going to put it like right down here at the bottom. And so I'm going to add, got something in my eye. I'm going to add, I think about 4 inches at the top, towards the top of this insert, because I want to make sure that I have enough ease around the hip area. And right now the pattern is, her measurements were 56, the pattern is 57, and then because there's some stretch in it, it fits, but there's not really any ease. This is kind of a knit on the back of the metallic, but it doesn't stretch a whole lot. It's probably like a 10% stretch. So it's a very minimal stretch, but it does have some stretch. So I want to add, I think I'm going to add about 4 inches on each side. That'll give me an extra 8 inches, which will create kind of a looser silhouette. It's going to add some ease that will help with the wearing part of it. She did tell me she has to climb up on a table at some point. So that'll also help, you know, be able to be a little bit more mobile with some additional ease in the dress. And then it'll also add like a little bit of fullness to the bottom of the skirt and make that look pretty and a little more costumey. So that's what we're going to go with. I'm not really sure. This isn't a super flowy fabric. It kind of is like, it looks cool because it looks like liquid metal, but it's not super like flowy. And so I'm not sure how this is going to look at the bottom once we add this in. I'm hoping that the weight of it will just kind of pool so it'll look cool, but not be too much or too bulky. So we'll find out. And I might lose a little bit off the bottom just because I'm going to have to shorten it at some point, but I'd rather just make it longer and then that way I can fix it later. So. got the mediator's costume all finished. I fitted on the actor playing the role and got the hem put in, so the hem's all done. And I got the godets in, and that solved the problem of fit. There was a little bit of tightness. And I have to say, like, I'm really super proud of these because they went into the seam perfectly. And they did the job like they were supposed to, but they also just looked perfect. Like, I got them in perfectly, which is kind of amazing because it's the first time I've done it, and this is kind of a difficult fabric. Not that it's hard to sew, but it was just kind of hard to make sure I got it all lined up right to make it look so neat and tidy. So the sleeves are finished, and this is going to the theater this afternoon. I have to finish making a couple of basic belts. They're just going to be like this with Velcro in the back. And once I get those done, then the costuming part is all done. And the very last thing I need to do is put together this planetary headdress. So I will be painting some planets a little bit later, and hopefully get that together between today and tomorrow so I can drop it off at the theater tomorrow evening. So there you have it. I managed to get 6 costumes sewn in 24 days, and they weren't exactly the ones I thought I was sewing from the beginning, but I did manage to get them all done. And due to unforeseen circumstances, I didn't quite get everything done. Hal's costume did come out very well. Thankfully, Kevin is also the prop master, and he looked awesome, and his costume was awesome, and he did a great job with that. And then Megan actually took over the rocket costume from me and helped me out with that, which also just looked absolutely fabulous. So she ended up making more costumes in the show than I did because she also made the 2 green aliens. But, you know, things change, situations come up, and you just have to roll with it and make the best of this, of what it is. So I am glad it's over. I am glad that my life is going to be mine again, and I do not have a deadline to sew under. And, you know, I think that this has just been a learning experience. You know, it was fun to see my few friends that are still there, but, you know, I think this is going to be the last year for me because I've got much more in store with YouTube, and I'd like to do pattern making and a bunch of other stuff. And I think by this time next year, I'm probably going to be a little bit too busy to be involved in the show again. But I will go and support my friends and cheer them on. And of course, supporting legal charities here in Houston to raise money, and it's a good thing to be involved in. So I have a few pictures to show you. And the first is the group costume. So I got it all finished. You can see this is Chelsea with her mask on. And then here's another one of the 2 of us in the lobby last night after the show. And then the Galactic Mediator costume actually came out absolutely gorgeous. She looked fabulous. And this is a sitting down pic of her that I took in the dressing room after I got everything finished and fit on her. When was that? That was like Tuesday? I can't remember. It was Monday. No, it was Monday. It was Monday of this week. So, you know, everything starts blurring together once you've got all the stuff to do. So this is a close-up of the headpiece, which caused blood, sweat, and tears because the wires on it were very stabby, and I still have a cut here on my hand from that. But it came out great. Everybody really liked the costumes. Everything looked great on stage. And if you were wondering what the bot costumes look like, because I realized after the fact that maybe I should show you, and you can be the judge of whether or not they should have been completely scrapped. I have this one, what would have been the Wikipedia costume. I did have to make some modifications and take the boning out that would have been here because the fabric was too heavy for the boning. The original pattern said steel boning. Steel boning was too expensive, and I didn't know if that was going to make it better because this fabric was so difficult, so I scrapped that. It does have the drawstring at the neck, which is making these gathers. And you can see it has like long inset sleeves. Did put in the pockets, you know, which are functional, enough for gloves anyway. And then in the back, to kind of reduce some of the fullness, I ended up putting a box pleat back here. I think they turned out decently. They don't have the logos on them because the idea was to make sure they fit and then put the logos on, and that just didn't work out that way. So you can judge for yourself, and, you know, I don't think they look bad. I think you could have danced in them, you know. Maybe the sleeves would need to be adjusted a little bit, but all in all, the plan was to wear black leggings underneath, and I think that would have worked. As this has been a learning experience, I'm looking forward to going back to sewing commercial patterns for myself, and I'm still working on pulling off some weight and feeling more energetic, but have been going to the gym, so that's good. I'm going to leave you with some segments from the show so you can see everything in its theatrical glory with the stage lights and everything else, and I hope you enjoy.
Hey, what are you doing? You were supposed to keep a low profile. You're going to blow our cover.
You were not supposed to be practicing law while you were here on Earth. You were told about that.
Hey, an alien's got to eat.
And how do you...
I'm going to go out on a limb here, but it sounds like you want compensation.
I am Groot. Exactly. You see, Groot here ain't a money tree. So if you want us to be informants, you gotta pay. Why else would we be talking to you?
Because...
Now